Okay, so whenever you come up to a person, you're going to place your hands on them and you're just kind of like just a light, gentle rocking and light compression just to kind of say hello to the body so it's just not so shocking when you start to work on them. Then you're gonna undrape them and you take the sheet or a towel if you have them in a gown, and you're gonna tuck that into the clothes so that you don't ever get any oil or biofreeze on their clothing. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna go over is the bony structures that you do not want to massage. So the obvious ones are, we have the spinous processes that are the part of the vertebra that go all the way down the back. So all of these, you don't want to, you'll feel the bumps of the top of the spinous processes, but you don't want to work them out and you don't want to massage them. Another big bony structure that you want to be aware of is the scapula here. Again, you're going to feel the whole thing. You don't want to massage it. It'll feel tight here. And some people, everybody's just a little bit different, but some people are so tight here that sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between what's bone and what is not. So just make sure if you can't tell the difference that you just keep it super light so that you're not trying to work out an actual bone. Okay, so I wanted to go over the muscles so that you guys can, so that you can see them on the body. So some of the deeper muscles that we have is we have the levator scapula. It attaches here to the scapula and then it comes all the way up here to the neck. Another one that we have is called the supraspinatus, and he comes here along the top of the scapula here. A third one that we have is called the infraspinatus, and he comes like this, out on top of the scapulas here. Then we have our rhomboid minor and our rhomboid major, and they're gonna attach here. You're gonna feel them, and throughout all here, okay? Another big one that's gonna play a big part is gonna be these muscles on this side of the scapula. One's called the teres minor, and then we have the teres major that's lower, okay? Then on both sides, this one's gonna be tickly, so I'm sorry, McKenna. So under the scapula here, we have the lats that are gonna come and attach here. Okay. And I'm gonna draw them on this side as well. These are the lats. Then a muscle that's more superficial that you will probably work on the most because you're just gonna be doing effleurage and really light petrissage is the traps. So when you think of the trapezius, most people think right here, but the trapezius actually goes all the way down, okay? And that's gonna be on the very top surface that you're gonna be working on. Okay, go ahead. All right, so I've put some oil into my hands and I've warmed it up. You want it to be a little warm before you push it on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through my routine. This is gonna be effleurage and light petrissage. This is for someone with acute injury. We're not gonna go very deep, and this is what you're gonna use across the board for everybody, okay? You're never gonna do more than this. So I start on either side of the spinous processes, and I go down with my palms and my fingers. Do you see I'm not really pushing into the skin very much? My intent behind this is to look for areas of tension. So as I'm going down, you'll notice that I'm going very slow. I'm listening to the muscles, and I'm thinking about where I need to start, what feels really, really tight, and what I need to kind of like the areas of focus that I need to focus on, okay? If you also notice, speed kills in massage. You want to keep everything super slow, super flowy, and you want to keep everything at about the same pressure and the same tempo. You don't want to do one movement really fast and then slow it down. It just feels weird and it's not very relaxing. So after I go up and down the back a few times, I'm going to just take my fingers on one side of the spine and I'm going to go down. Again, you can see I'm not going into the skin very, very much. This is all really, really light, okay? And then you're going to go across. Low backs always get super sore. What we're doing is just really lightly going across the ribs. Ribs get super sore in accidents or with falls. And so here, like if you notice, like I'm going across, it's okay for me to hit this bony structure, right? The scapula, that's fine. That's not gonna feel weird. It's just if I were to stop and like really start to dig at it and really try to work it out, because it's not gonna work out. And then I'll do that a few times, where it's just nice and soft. You're pushing the muscles away from the spine, helping everything relax. Poor McKenna's back. At least we know the marker comes off. Okay. So now with McKenna specifically, I know that she has a lot of tension here, but for purposes of the video, I'm just gonna switch to this side. So after you do that on this side, you would do this around this scapula, but I'm gonna switch to that side, to this side, if that makes sense. I needed a little more oil. Okay, so something that you could do is you can take your hands and you're just making, and you're just going around that border of the scapula, just really nice and soft. And you could probably do this like 8 to 10 times. This is just warming up all of those muscles there and making it really feel really nice and good. Okay. And another thing that feels really good around the scapula for people is if you come here and you just do nice, big, sweeping motions all around. This is getting that supraspinatus up here. We're coming down, we're getting a bit of the infraspinatus. We're coming around, we're getting the teres minor and the teres major, and then we're going back up through the rhomboids. You want to have a nice flow when you're massaging people. You don't want things to be really odd. I don't want to be like right here going around the scapula and then suddenly like mid-stroke just pick up and then start doing something on the low back. That just feels odd and people don't like it. So if I'm here and I'm going around the scapula, notice I'm standing on the side of the body. You can just reach up here and just really gently rub the traps. Notice that I'm not making hardly any much of an indentation, okay? This is super light. If I was going deeper, I'd just really get into those traps, and that's not what I want you to do. It's just a really light massage, okay? And just gently coming down from the neck, out across on those traps and that supraspinatus. And you can go back and do the same strokes to connect strokes. So like if I want to move from the scapula here, which I do, down to the low back, I'm going to go back to all the way around the scapula, and then I can go back to where I'm just cupping the scapula here, going back and forth. And then I can take my really light fist and go here, and we're just going to go out along the hip. can come back up and we can go back to the scapula. And I want you to notice still like we're not doing hardly any pressure on that skin, okay? And then we're going back. And it's just super duper light. We're barely applying any pressure. Okay. Then something that you can do, because I know that you like to use your thumbs, is you can just apply a little bit of pressure, and we can take our thumbs, so you have your spinous processes here and your scapula here, and we're just sideways, horizontal, and you can just very lightly and if you notice, the indentation of the skin is a little bit more, so this would be considered more of a light petrissage. Okay, you don't want to start with light petrissage, you want to warm up the tissue with the effleurage. Another thing that you can do is you can, since you like to use your thumbs, you can just come in and just do circles. But when you do this, you want to make sure that you have a supported thumb. I like to take my fist like this, but you have to keep it super duper light so that my finger supports my thumb here, and then I just do really light circles. But this feels really good on those rhomboids in the space between the scapula and the vertebra. Something that I want you to work on is I want you to work on learning other tools besides your thumbs. So even if it's like just trying to get like a really light knuckle going, and you don't, if you notice, I've gone back to effleurage. I'm like barely pushing into the skin. But even if it's just like one very soft knuckle, very softly on the skin, just so that you're not burning out your thumbs. Okay, another thing that you can use is you can use your forearm. People think that forearms coincide with deep tissue, but it's all about the amount of pressure that you use. So if I use my forearm and I just keep it really, really soft, but if I'm going to use my forearm, I want to make sure that I'm going with the muscle tissue and that I'm not going over those bones, okay? So I wouldn't want to set my forearm, which is a heavy bone, on top of the scapula bone and start massaging that. That's not going to feel good. But if I want to go around the scapula here with my forearm just very gently, I can do that. That's going to give you more options, and it's going to help it so that your hands don't burn out and your thumbs don't burn out. And like we've said a million times, the whole point is just to keep it really, really light, really, really healing. And then every time, so in between each time, so if I wanted to switch to this side, I would come back here, I would go down on either side of the spine. Again, I'm making sure that this side is relaxed. Coming back up, a lot of the times, like you can feel the change in the muscle tone, And I'm gonna do that 3 to 5 times, just depending on the amount of time that I have. And then I would come over and I would go down here. I can't do it because of the video, but I would come down here, or I would like work this side as far as like the scapula goes and all of that. And then you always want to close out your massage. And so then I do the same thing, the same stroke down, all the way down the back, all the way up, down the back, all the way up, and then off. Okay? And then when you're done, you're gonna bring the sheet back up, and you're gonna cover them up, and you do just wanna do the same thing, just saying goodbye to the body, light compressions, and then you'll wash your hands and let them get dressed.